President Fennell.
Here.
Treasurer Miller.
Here.
Director of Campus Program Led.
Here.
Secretary Smith. Director of Publicity Jones.
Here.
Club Coordinator Stang.
Here.
Student Rep to Alumni Mason.
Hello.
I Rep Ward. Student Trustee Hoover. Student Rep to Residence Life Casper Woodhead.
Here.
Background Center. Senator Sports.
Here.
Senator Wilson. Senator Vilgo. Senator Walsh. Senator Pence. Senator Benner. Senator Norton. Senator McKesby. Senator Furlow.
Here.
Senator Shorter. Senator Johnson.
Here.
Senator Lewis. Senator Utz.
Here.
Senator Walker.
Here.
Senator Malaga.
Here.
Senator Henry. Senator Bernstein.
Here.
Senator Cepeda Santos.
Here.
Senator Ortega Valencia.
Here.
Senator Mouton. President Hernandez.
Here.
President March. President Cooper. President Lanham.
Here. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from last week?
Motion.
Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moving on to student speak out. Are there any students here wishing to speak out tonight? Guest speaker is Michael Dunn, Title IX coordinator. Nothing but this. All right.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Hey.
That's nice to hear. It's great to be with you all on advising day, on committee night. I feel like you're really rolling out the red carpet, and it's even load by attachments. We'll do it in preview mode, that's okay too. I wanted to thank you all tonight. No, it's all good. To give you some updates, I want to talk about the fall cases, the Title IX reports that my office received last semester. Oh, we're good, I'm good. Well, no one made me, no one's doing anything. We're good, thank you, I appreciate that. I want to give you some updates on the reports that my office received last semester and what happened to them, right? In an effort to be transparent and to share information about what's going on. I also want to give you some information on other things happening last semester and some things happening this semester right now and through the end of the year. And I'm really happy to take any questions or comments folks may have. So, we're going to scroll. All right, reports to my office. So you can see kind of the over time how reports have gone to the Title IX office. The column on the far right side are the fall 2018 reports. We got a lot of reports last semester. There were 78 reports total, which is kind of a big jump from previous semesters. If you kind of look, since fall 2016, we've generally had more reports in the fall than in the spring. That's certainly the case, but even compared to fall 2017, we had a big leap in the number of reports we received. We had 66 Title IX reports, 5 reports of non-Title IX issues, and then we had 7 reports that were people asking to be excused from the required training that we asked for first years and juniors. People said, I don't feel comfortable doing this training for personal reasons. I sent them resource information and said, you're excused from the training. Let me know if you want to meet. So we called those reports. So why might we have received this higher number of reports in the fall? I think there are a couple factors. One is that we did training with faculty and staff members on their responsibilities as responsible employees. And we did this kind of very focused training as part of the resolution of one of the federal Office for Civil Rights investigations. And so I think that doing that training reminded more faculty and staff members of their responsibilities. And so it kind of led to more reports there. There were also a number of situations where we received like clusters of reports regarding certain people or certain situations where multiple issues kind of came to the fore all at once. And then our national and social climate continues to be really focused on issues relating to sexual violence, the Me Too movement, the Kavanaugh hearings, things like that. And those were issues that I had a number of conversations with students about last semester, and I think that also kind of contributed to this. So we're seeing a lot of reports. So what kind of reports were they? The most common issue that was reported to my office was sexual harassment. This has been the case for many semesters now. We had 24 of the 78 reports were on sexual harassment. The next most common topic was sexual assault unknown. That means we don't know the kind of sexual assault that it was, whether it was rape or groping or fondling, because that information wasn't shared with us. We have 9 reports of general sexual misconduct. Those include those 7 reports of people asking to be excused when they didn't provide information. And they also include a couple of reports where people didn't provide specific information. It was just that some kind of Title IX sexual misconduct issue had happened, and so that's the category it was under. 8 reports of stalking, 7 reports of non-consensual sexual contact or groping or fondling, 5 non-Title IX issues. Those were generally other kinds of harassment, bullying, interpersonal conflict that was not related to sex or gender. 5 reports of dating violence, 4 reports of non-consensual sexual intercourse or rape, 3 reports of gender harassment or discrimination, 2 of sexual exploitation, anytime someone is taken advantage of, and 1 report of domestic violence. I want to look a little more sharply at the sexual assault cases, right? And so we had 78 reports, not 68, as it says here. There were 21 involving some kind of sexual assault, right? We had the 10 unknowns, 7 reports of contact, and 4 reports of intercourse. A couple of things to highlight kind of as we look at that. So of those 21 reports, 9 of them occurred on campus that we know of. And in fact, there were 5 incidents on campus that were reported that involved 2 students. Kind of what we most commonly think of when we think about campus sexual violence. Of those 21 reports, 6 involved incidents that happened before the student enrolled in St. Mary's. Things that happened in high school or earlier or other chapters of life. And we know that 4 of those incidents involved a non-affiliate. That is, someone who was not a St. Mary's student or faculty member or staff member was the person who engaged in that behavior. Now, obviously, these numbers all one, and that's because we received different kinds of information about different reports, right? So for a number of these cases, we don't know where it happened, or we don't know when it happened, or we don't know the affiliation or the identity of the other person, because that information wasn't shared with us. And that's okay, but this is the information that we know. And I think especially when looking at these sexual assault cases, sometimes it's helpful to kind of drill down a little more deeply into the details here. So then what happened to these reports? Here's where they all went, right? So we had 24 reports. The most common outcome is that, well, they went as far as they could given limited information. And this includes a number of kinds of situations. This includes cases where we reach out to the person involved and they say, I'm good. I'm connected with counseling. I'm talking to law enforcement. I'm with an advocacy group. I don't need any more help. This also includes cases where the other person is not a St. Mary's affiliate. And so in that case, we might work with law enforcement. We might put in place a campus no trespass order, but we can't put them through a Title IX process on campus because they're not subject to our policies. So this is kind of, bless you, this is the most common category, and it includes like a very wide array of things that we do. We had 17 cases that were informally resolved. This is when we work with both sides, both parties in a situation, and figure out what remedies do we need to put in place to end what's going on and to help folks move forward. And that contact academic or housing accommodations, conversations with my PRI, things like that. This is a voluntary option, and it's not available for cases of sexual violence, but all other kinds of issues, mostly lower level things, can be resolved this way. We had 12 cases where the reporting party, the person who experienced the misconduct, did not respond to outreach from my office. And that's okay, right? I tried twice. Once, and then I wait a week, and then I send a short email to follow up. If people don't respond, that's okay. They have the information, they can make whatever choice is right for them. Again, we had those 7 cases where the reporting party asked to be excused from training. We have 6 cases where we're still kind of in the initial assessment phase. Even now, at the end of March, we're trying to sort of figure out what path is the most appropriate, whether it's a formal process, an informal process, different offices. We have 3 cases that resulted in formal, and then we had 2 other. So that's what happened to them. And support. And so I'm happy that, again, I think these numbers were boosted by the training we did. 11 from public safety, 11 from the RAs, 7 reporting parties who wanted to be excused from training, 5 reports from other student responsible employees, people like orientation leaders and others, and then we had 5 reports of witnesses, parents, and respondents. It's too early to share that now, just given the small numbers.
I think it'd be pause.
So I noticed this is like there's been an increase in reports. Do you think that that's due to like more student understanding that come forward? Or do you think that's due to like a problem that has increased the amount of instances as a whole? So basically, like, is it that students are coming forward more about it, or that it's happening?
Yeah, that's a really good question, right? And that's kind of, let me pull that slide up. And that's something that I think about a lot and I worry about a lot, right? Does this mean that the campus is becoming less safe, or does it mean that folks are kind of having a better sense of what's available and move forward more? Based on the nature of reports that we're receiving and the kinds of things that are being reported, I think it's that people understand their options and they're coming forward. And I think it's that responsible employees understand their responsibility and they're fulfilling it more than they did. Based on the nature of the reports, I don't see like a spike in issues that are happening or more dangerous behaviors or things like that. I mean, obviously there are things that we do as a campus to try to increase safety and address issues when they come up. But, given the national research on this issue, 1 in 5, 1 in 4 women experiencing sexual violence in college, 1 in 16 men. If you look at these reports, it's still underreporting based on those kinds of statistics. And this is a really difficult, scary, deeply painful issue. And it's hard to kind of look at these numbers. And there's some kind of perverse incentives for colleges to be like, well, no reports, we're perfectly safe, everything's hunky-dory over here. But we need to be kind of honest and try to get this out into the light, And that's especially why I take heart in the fact that reporting parties are coming forward themselves to get help. Because hopefully folks can do that knowing that in our community, they're not going to be blamed or shamed for what they may have experienced, but that support can be treated with dignity. So that's my sense of this.
Any other questions before we move on?
Is there any available information on the time frames for this? Is there like a specific frame with that is heavily affected?
Good question. Research shows that college students are most vulnerable to sexual violence during the first 8 to 10 or 12 weeks of the semester. They call it the red zone period, just to find terrifying as possible. And that's something that I feel that we've seen borne out here, kind of anecdotally. It's also challenging in that reports do not necessarily come in right 3 months ago or 6 months ago or 2. Data shows that first year the prevention work that we're doing. Obviously, there's been a lot going on in terms of ongoing training for folks. In terms of prevention work, we've been doing a lot with bystander intervention. We've been doing things with mobilizing men and boys to prevent sexual violence happening, things like that. A couple of new things. These are some new posters that we put out based on feedback from students to try to illustrate kind of in really basic flowchart form, like what happens after a report is filed, and to give folks information on options and resources. So as we look ahead to the spring, we got a few things coming. We are going to be releasing the climate survey results that we did in February and for January and February. We had a good response rate, it was 27%, up from 20% last year. I was really happy about that. Institutional research is culling all data and they're going to send me some information. And so I'd like to come back next month and share that with everybody. We're also going to be working on some policy revisions to bring to the board in May. These are not the big policy revisions that's going to be related to whatever the Trump administration does. These are some policy revisions to reflect changes in Maryland law that go into effect this summer. They're not super big, but we need to make sure that we're aligned with them. And so I'll be coming back to SGA and kind of talking to folks and getting feedback on some of the language as we work towards that as well. We are hiring a Title IX investigator / prevention specialist. That sounds like deja vu, because I said that months and months ago. We hired somebody, she was really awesome, but she resigned after a period of a few weeks due to personal reasons, which has been really difficult, but we have a really strong applicant pool right now. We'll be bringing folks to campus next month, which is April, which is very soon. So I'm excited about that. And that's all I'll do. I don't want to burden you too much, but we have things going on. I'm excited to kind of focus on prevention, basing our efforts around what research has shown to be effective, and making sure that our policies are aligned with best practices, with our federal guidance, state guidance. It's a moving target. So that's that.
For our constituent reports, you have access to these.
I will send these to you. That's okay.
Oh yeah, feel free to leave it down.
Well, I'm actually in the process of seeing this around. So, I will send those to everyone before the liaison. Any other questions?
Can I say one last thing? As you are sending this to your constituents, if anybody would like to kind of talk more about this with your different constituencies or groups, I'd be happy to come to any groups this day, answer questions, touching topic, and whatever I can do to kind of hear feedback, talk about ideas, I'd love to do that. All right. Good.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include a new guest speaker, myself as student conduct member. I guess I can. Yes. I met with Daniel, who's standing in the back, earlier today, and Kyle Bishop, to go over some changes that are being proposed to the student conduct process, and I drastically misgauged the time, which is why I was going to do it during normal announcements, but I wanted it sooner because I don't think having to keep staff members here too late, because our meetings are going to late sometimes. So there's 3 big things that I need to student conduct. While she's doing that, so there are only 3 really big things that everyone needs to know about that are being proposed as changes. And normal student conduct board consists of 5 members. It's proposed to change those down to 3 to increase efficiency and to kind of help the student conduct board process move faster. In addition to that, it's being proposed that we, when we address sanctions to students, that the sanctions are no longer just the purview of the students, but in agreement with the staff advisor who is always at every meeting with us. And additionally, any higher level cases that the student conduct board would hear, such as expulsion, suspension, others that are missing. Thank you. Would have a staff member on the board as well to help go through that process. So those are the 3 big ones. On top of that, we're looking for new student conduct board members. We just need student conduct board members. So if you're interested, you can talk to me or talk to Danielle. She's here to answer any questions if you have any, and to go over anything that I probably missed. Yeah. Any questions? Comments? Yes.
Please explain the second one.
The second one. So when we give out sanctions, normally it's the board of students will decide a sanction, put on it, as long as there's a majority, the sanction will be approved for that student. Now it's going to be approved with the advisement and agreement of the staff advisor, so that way we can better tailor the sanctions and kind of create consistency versus having maybe 2 different scenarios where 2 different people who did the same thing but get drastically different sanctions to create that consistency there.
So I can add like a little bit of background to that, like why that's kind of changing. So I've gone to like a handful of conferences this year that deal like specifically with student conduct, and it's more like changing with the times to have some kind of like staff input on that, because I've been like training in student development, so I'm more aware of like student design and educational level than like all of you guys maybe. But the reason why we're still keeping like the student input on this sanction is because like you guys live on like just saying that you're on board. But the conduct board like lives the life of the students, so that's why their input is like beneficial, but it's not gonna be like the advisor just like dictating what the sanction is. It's gonna be like an agreement process with the conduct board members, so they're still gonna have like a majority to say. But then it'll also, like Andrew was saying, it'll make it more consistent when I meet with every student that does like a case resolution, that doesn't go to a board, or I meet with a lot of students and do an admin hearing, which is like slightly less intimidating than a student conduct. So this will help the sanctions be like consistent all over the place, so it's not like the conduct board is gonna assign a suspension for something that I would assign like an alcohol education class for. So we're trying to like firm up all of our processes to make it more consistent overall.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thanks all.
Right, Bill 1914, funding for senior class meetings. Sorry for talking about.
I have any questions. Or I can answer. But everything is the same from last week.
Money was raised so far.
I can
Have there been any money raised?
Money raised so far, with what the total sales we made for the senior class, we have currently $1,000. So we have I'll say it. Any other questions?
Two, one, is that money raised just this year?
Yes, just her.
Okay, you know how much has been raised for the past 4 years?
I don't know how much has been raised in the past 4 years, but when I first started this position this year, we had, I don't know if it was 4. Yeah.
So you were the president started this year.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to roll call vote?
Senator Squirt. Senator Walsh. Senator Norman. Senator Grillo. Senator Johnson. Senator Utz. Senator Walker. Senator Malaga. Senator Bernstein. Senator Spears Santos. Senator T. Valencia. Senator Baton. President Hernandez. President Hernandez. I'm sorry. President Lamb.
All right, in the opinion of the chair, the guys have this bill passes.
Thank you.
SGA Executive Board election results.
Yes. That background is being handled at the moment, so it's supposed to be caught up in the next one. Yeah.
I asked, how we would actually get the money out, since there appears to be some issues getting the money out whatsoever about anything. So I asked how that was gonna happen, since it's a backlog of orders trying to put money out. Like, I think bills in the past, there's issues with.
Just for more context, there's where our fiscal associate Noah has left to do a new job, we're about to hire a new one, but the current staff is trying to accommodate this and working to keep the backlog down and catch up where we're behind. But that position should be filled soon, and with everyone, there's like 3 or 4 people working on it now, it should be closed. So for context, that's what the question is.
SGA Executive Board election results.
Hello, I will the election results for treasurer. Colin Sweat was elected. For director of campus
reports, because it's a committee night, we're just kind of doing it as needed, and I jumped in first. I only have 2 things. First of all, Rebecca and I had a meeting with Tressa today. It went well enough. There are some coming concerns regarding beauty greens. It's college parties such as Mardi Greens and Collard Greens are student traditions, but the college does not ever at any time officially recognize them. They recognize that they happen and do what they can to support them. Nudie Greens is not one that the college thinks should be considered a tradition at all because it is relatively new. And the sentiment among student affairs is that it is likely to cause problems because of the nature of the party, and they're not particularly thrilled about it coming. With that in mind, the dean is also considering possibly pulling all original support that was ever given for Halloweens and Mardi Greens, public safety being there, meaning that it would be useless for us to ever consider public safety anyway. And I suggested in the meeting that the party wouldn't happen anyway, to which we should also consider, and I was also told, if they do happen, it's likely the public safety will shut them down automatically. So, with that said, I'm working with Dean Brown when I meet with him next week to address the concern of beauty greens while also trying to make sure that the Mardi Greens and Collard Greens continue to happen. I'm going to propose that as best we can consider making the priority items that public safety needs for the parties to happen a part of the budget, possibly. It's not what I'm fond of, but if we want to keep the events happening, that's maybe something we should consider. Jake, I saw you first.
So, from my understanding, first party sounds like the position in this has to provide a higher salary file, which was a little bit less.
So this year will be the first official tradition.
Yes.
The college refuses to recognize that as a tradition. College, really, they recognize that Collard Greens and Mardi Greens happen, but they don't recognize it as an official college tradition. So the fact that they let us do it at all is interesting. And I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I know.
I'm confused, because I thought that in the fall, we talked about, and maybe this wasn't that statement correctly, so maybe it just keep on saying, but what if they want us to be having the parties or having greens out in the open where public safety can be watching students, especially like come fall when the bigger parties happen, having them like outside rather than shutting them down immediately and pushing them into houses where public safety can't walk in unless they're like allowing or shutting the party down. So I don't know if this is brought up with them yet, but I'm confused about what the position is on there, because like you said, they're gonna happen anyway, so why not allow a little bit of support where it's like sort of uncomfortable, but safe?
Yeah, that was brought up to them at the beginning of last semester. I cannot at this moment recall what the response was. I don't really remember them doing an adequate one, but it's something I will address with them. No,
That's what it sounds. It sounds like unconditional, you give them money.
that was never brought up. This was not her suggestion. This was, she flat out said, this is something Dean Brown has told me. This was my suggestion as a possible consideration, but it was never said. It sounds like at this point, they're just flat out not looking for it.
So, if that's the case, I would recommend, I want to let you know that I would recommend my constituents to stop work groups and tell them not to come to school, that the administration doesn't want to do stuff. So if this is the tack you're trying to take, I will start it. I think the student body will also not take this very well. And I think we need to consider that since we are going to live here, if they want to kind of do this type of stuff, that, you know, we kind of can dictate how, how certain things are going to go.
Yeah,
But I would imagine other students, if I proposed that idea, would be that way.
I imagine they would as well. My concern is we've been trying this entire year to try and improve our relationship with the administration while also improving our standing with them. And while the SGA wouldn't or shouldn't be one of the ones who would be doing that, students doing that kind of thing would really would be us putting a strong arm on the administration.
I think it is within the realm of the SGA to advocate for students, act as their collective representatives, to include formal protests.
I think advocacy, yes, but I think flat out stopping them is. I know, I'm saying, I don't want to see a specific SGA member stopping a tour. I do advocate for protests though. I think that's okay, but I'm on the fence about how I would feel about SGA senators stopping tours. That, I don't quite have an opinion on. Is that fair? Does that make sense? It's just, let me clarify. There's an expected minimum level of professionalism that is expected of all SGA members that we are all incredibly acutely aware of. And at some point, when we stop falling into that professionalism and accommodating it, they stop listening to us flat out. So there's a line we have to toe to a degree. That's what I fear.
Yeah. As a tour guide, I would not appreciate that because then I have to, it's my job then to explain to the family why someone just did that. And I've actually had that happen. For the most part, I've been thankful that most students are like, come to St. Mary's, very excited and happy to see tour groups. But as a tour guide, that puts me in a horrible position. And I would not want that. We have brand new tour guides that just got hired. I don't want that to happen to them. Senator Montano.
I think like, yeah, that'd be really combative and that's counterintuitive because like you should be supporting student body and everything, but that'd be counterintuitive. But my point was more, I think this is, I mean, probably this is like really dangerous for like a student body. I mean, like if we're having like people are, I would not be surprised if because of this, like we see like drinking and binge drinking on this campus increase like significantly. And I think this is really dangerous. You know, I mean, we already have like such a cliquey community as it is, and I feel like these parties and these gatherings really bring us together as a collective. And if we shut that down completely, like these cliques and these like just overall like barriers are just going to increase, and like you know this is like we already are like having such a difficult time like administration and like the student body as a collective, and having this would just be really detrimental to that relationship that we're trying to mend.
Okay, the last few people that are standing now are the only people, so no one else stand up after.
Like I know like you're like on our side and everything, but you just like really like, cause I don't.
No, I understand.
And this is like way worse than any of the speaker policies, like potentially is like.
Yeah, this could get, this could cause the numbers that we saw to skyrocket for the wrong reasons.
No, and that's, like, I'm just, I don't give a shit about parties, like, I care about, like, the general well-being of, like, people, and, like, I feel like, you know, we already have such a small campus as it is, and it's really hard to have these fun activities already as it is, and taking away those really small moments that we have is just so, like.
I was just gonna ask you a question for clarification. How should we phrase this to our constituents? Because I feel like this information will anger and confuse a lot of people.
I would phrase this as, it's a good question.
Is it the same question?
I'll come back to that. I need to think about that.
Something, I think regardless of your personal opinions of him, if you wanted to bring Michael Dunn into this, kind of off of what you were saying as like a higher up who I believe is on our side, like as a collective, I think
talking to him, and if he were to go into a meeting like that, it would be like, oh, an adult thinks like this, so we'll
Yeah.
listen to it. Yeah, so I definitely think we should try reaching out to those types of people that we know are on our side, but also have a good reputation with the administration, because yeah, we go to them. We can tell them the truth all day, but they may or may not listen, so I think, yeah, like completely off of what you were
It's
saying.
the public safety's job to protect us, and this is so counterproductive.
Yeah, and like, I wouldn't bring maybe individual PS officers into it, even though they would also agree, but
They likely would, but I'm not willing to risk.
yeah, but definitely, I think if you were to set up a meeting, maybe talking to them. Senator Farrelly?
I would suggest also reaching out to alumni, not just like alumni like our friends that they graduated last year, but like the big alumni with money. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of alumni would be on our side because they're the ones that help create these traditions. They're the ones that, do the same. Yeah.
Now, I do agree, but at this point, I would also like to clarify, these are not set in stone, these are not, we're killing everything. It's a suggestion that has been put out by Dean Brown, which at this point is still up for discussion, which I don't particularly see him taking a strong stance on, but it is something I would like to obviously discuss with him, and that's a very important thing.
I think I want to make clear that we definitely don't want to lash out in a response, right? But at the same time, I think it's essential that we make it known that this is a systemic problem that has been developing over time. The quality of life at this college has deteriorated over the past couple of semesters or years, and this is a result of the college administration putting an emphasis on this selling point image of the college as opposed to what it actually is. They're focusing on, I mean, like I said, this image. And I think that while we definitely need to be careful in the way that we disseminate this information to our students and to our constituents, and in the way that we craft our response to the administration as a whole, we also need to make it clear that we're not standing for this anymore. And I think that it would benefit us to be direct and strong in our response to the administration, and say that we want genuine change within the administration and not just some compromise right now. I think that we should start talking about what systemic changes need to be made to the St. Mary's administration to make sure that these problems don't arise.
As much as I want to let all the people who still have stuff, I did say that the last people I was saying comes in. So if you do have any other concerns, I suggest that you just email.
Come see me
Or
afterwards.
like talk to them after the meeting.
I just want to say that I didn't consider the board of supervisors, the employees, and with that understanding in mind, I in no way intended to impact you or your peers, and I rescind that statement because I don't want to do that, but the spirit of it was
Yes.
that we need to make a serious protest for a kind of purpose.
No, and fully in line with that, I think the protest needs to be not on the path and not by missions that are counter. Where, like, as you said, where it matters most.
I have a point of information.
Yes.
Is this coming from him as a result of all of his attempts to talk to students about what they want to see on campus? Because my understanding that's been something he's been trying to do a lot, is get communication with students on campus, so this is a try.
I hear conflicting information. I can't speak for Dean Brown at the moment. I am simply speaking from what Public Safety Director Justice Satellite told me. And this was just a meeting that she had with him a week or so ago. So at the risk of sounding like I'm covering things, but covering for them, I just want to say that it's possible that the information I was given was secondhand and not perfectly heard. She even is is not entirely clear on what the sentiments are, and did express that. As far as where this is coming from, I've been given the impression multiple times by multiple people that he either is for student traditions and just wants them to be done safely, and then simultaneously he hates them and wants to see them on. I really don't know where he lands. I have not been able to get a good beat on what he actually believes.
From experience, it's just like, I think adults say different things to other adults than what they say to us, because they don't consider us like equals at all. So they say different things to each other than what they say to us.
I would like it point of information, sorry. Do we have access to student, like, dropout things and how those are? Transfer.
You have to go to OS3.
retention rate.
Yeah, so retention from first to second year is 88, but then it drops significantly from the sophomore year to the junior year. And I don't remember the exact percentage, but I will tell you that it is, once people get their prerequisites done, they transfer based on what they want to specialize in. And that is numbers that I know we drop admissions. It's around 88 for first, because we have a high retention rate for first and second year.
I don't know where to find that information. Policy.
You just Google.
Yeah, you can find it. Are these questions or points of information? Right, yes. So for that, I would say, I would just say that I met with Trustee Setlack to go over the SGA's future collaboration with public safety regarding on-campus parties, and that the future of those events, the future outcome of those events will be discussed shortly. Because really, I can't give you any more than that. That's basically what's happening. I don't think, honestly, that they're going to be canceled. I really don't. But it's up in the air at the moment.
Is there suggestions about constituent before
Yes.
I think maybe we should have some sort of like open-ended survey, because our emails are going to be like flooded with student thoughts, and I think it's important that we definitely immediately organize our constituents feel about this. I think that just having a bunch of emails, and basically saying how they all feel would be as impactful as having a survey.
Okay. I think that's it. Yeah. Can we do a Twitter poll?
Yeah, to Twitter poll. Just as a side note, be sure to include the link to this live stream because, or let them know that it's up on YouTube because then they can come in and clarify everything that's been said in this meeting. So you don't have to worry about specific details when you do your constituent report.
Like if they have to feel free to check it out.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I'm just going to leave it at, we really don't know what's happening. I don't see anything bad in it personally because Dean Brown is a very open person and tends to be very receptive to him. So I don't see this as a bad thing personally. But I want to keep going. Last point, completely different from everything we've been talking about. What do you guys want to do for the SGA? So there's
Is it always informative?
actually, it's been really formal in the past, like, so here's the reason I asked. Normally it's in BPC. I suggested the awesome room, that was rejected. I feel like BPC is too formal and sterile. But, and this is a bit of a curveball, we can on a Sunday, when it's closed, go to a pub and have the pub to ourselves. Yeah, on a Sunday when it's already closed, we're not inconveniencing anyone. We could just have the pub to ourselves, and we could either have one at cater it, or we could bring all our own food. I think the pub's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I want, I guess. Oh, not Tuesday.
But I get it, it's better than nothing you're gonna have.
Yeah, so, hey. Hey, y'all. Normally the banquets are on Tuesdays, normally it's like our last meeting. I don't like that because we take a whole meeting out where we're not productive, and I want to be able to be productive one more time and then not really stress about it. and just kind of hang out with all of you, enjoy each other's company. So that's why I kind of want to do it on Sunday. The pubs relaxing enough, we can have to go out time, have some plus ones if they want to, if they don't. I want to be formal, if they don't, we have time. Let's do it once. Well, dress up if you want to, I don't really care. That was right. So, but the real question, so show of hands up. Cool. All right, next question. This is the big one because we either need to allocate funding or not. Do we want to have catering or catering?
Bona.
Cater versus, okay, we'll have to allocate funding for it. We'll have to do that. Huh? So, but it would be like big here, like pub food, but better.
Definitely ask for like.
Anyway.
Not too much.
I'm gonna talk to Derek, I'll talk to him. So I don't, normally we allocate $600 for catering. So, yes, it's certainly better than normal. So, can I get a show of hands, all the one catering, the other option being bring it yourself? Well, I'll make one up. But just for now, imagine pub food, but better. All right, so that, I think that's, okay. Did anyone want hot one?
No.
I kind of. But I'll take it. Okay, if you want to bring something, bring it, but also don't have to. Okay, so thank you, that's solid. I don't have any. Business casual.
Wait, that'd be so cute.
Like 1920s. Okay, welcome back.
Wait, you just.
I'm gonna,
All right, moving on. I'm done.
okay, so I'm gonna go next. So on this Friday, March 29th, start typing, 11 a.m. in the Leadership Lab, which is next to the Package Center, me, Davida, am hosting a stress-free color booking event. Oh my God, you're not allowed to stress. So, I have like these flyers and I'll probably like take a picture of it and then send it to you all so that you can add it as an attachment, I guess. But, I'll have Bob Ross and metric stickers and anxiety coloring books. And like, I don't know why they're called anxiety coloring books, because you like for like anxiety free, but that's what they're called. I'll have snacks as well, so it'll be from like 11 to 1. Yes. It's on my bed.
All right.
Oh, cat Rose.
I'm also gonna send this to you guys, but Programs Pro has a bonfire at the WC Fire Pit Thursday night. And we have s'mores. And it's gonna be kind of like a informal open mic. So we have a Google form to sign up if people wanna do poetry, sing, guitar, I don't know, anything else, whatever skills people have in their daily lives. So I'll send that to you also. But I also have a second thing that I'm not gonna waste your time with, that I am gonna send you an email that's already typed up, so you'll get that as soon as we can. Yeah. But like, no, yeah, no, if you attend a Programs Pro event, you're safe, because you're out of club. Yeah, but. Yeah, you have to be at the fire pit, Zach.
Yeah, and all the way there, all the way back, you're not safe.
I will.
All the monitors.
Yes.
Oh, I guess.
Alright. Alright.
So I talked to you guys last week about World Carnival Volunteer. I finally got the spreadsheet. I'm gonna email you all the spreadsheet. Please sign up. Also, I got a couple people who were willing to volunteer, who are willing to table at the SGA table for Infinite Students Day and for open house. I'd like to get a couple more people. It'd be really great. So if you're interested, shoot me an email on Friday. It's from, I'll put it in the email. But please sign up. Yes. It's April 5th and April 6th. So the admitted students day is April 5th. The open house is April 6th. So if you're working at admissions, you're going to be tired. I.e. And then World Carnival, I only have the Saturday sign up. I have not figured out the Friday sign up yet. So please sign up for the Saturday. We need more hands. I can put you in charge of balloons if that makes you happy. Cool. Thank you.
Hi, I have some dates that I would like all of you to put into your constituent reports. They also might be significant to you. So Senate and class officer elections, the applications will open on April 1st. They will close April 5th at 5 p.m. And then the actual election basically April 17th through April 9th.
But you have more than 4 interests. And then secretary, treasurer.
This is include the delegated commissioners out there.
The ones that the president appoints,
Yeah.
that's up to the current president. Yeah, probably tomorrow. I'm not in charge of that one, but I am in charge of the Senate ones. So, does anyone need the dates again? The applications will come out, will open on April 1st. They will close on April 5th at 5 p.m. The election will start on April 17th, close on the 9th. Yeah. Have a vice president one together, and like position one separately. It's just like the SGA.
Is there any other officer boards? Is there any senators who should report? President elect.
Hello guys, tomorrow is the Montesa fundraiser, it's from 10:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. So feel free to go for breakfast, lunch, dinner. 20% of your total purchase will go to fundraising for the senior class. Grad fair is April 4th, from 4:30 to 6:30 in the campus patio. I made an Excel sheet, I had a lot. And then next Friday is a senior door fundraiser at the green door. It's a $5 cover. There will be karaoke, but I will also have raffles to make up for that. And so I am still selling senior glasses. I'm no longer selling them for my home for safety purposes, but they will be sold at the grad fair.
Yeah, me and Alex met with Derek, earlier today, talked about maybe like future plans or things of the program. It sounds good, honestly, still working out.
Very, very separate, and we trying to, like, we fight on this. I think he knows as well as any of us here that the campus civil society is ready. There is almost there, and let me just, like, we something trying for years to do something about it, because they people are from the first or second or second was, meant to be, specifically, I mentioned those two, everyone, but I'm sure they get a sector, through the time as well. But yeah, it's just up to people who are here next semester and try to carry on, the work here, right? And try to like treat the SGA as serious and as serious like investment in time and to really make sure that legislation things can pass over the next 6
Hi, you guys. The Invisible Disability Awareness event is this Friday from 4 to 7. You all should come. But also, I have a few volunteers, but I'm still looking for more. So I'll be sending out a spreadsheet tomorrow if you guys can sign up for it. Literally, it's just in the very beginning, maybe like the first, like the hour and a half to like hour before it starts. I just need help with like setting up tables and things like that. So if you're interested, please let me know.